Today I'm gonna solve May 2023 Unit 2, which comes under Edexcel IAL IT. So let's continue with the paper question number 1. So this is a section A, and you will get 60 minutes in this section. So HTML is used to structure web page. Give one reason why doc type is used in an HTML document. So at the first, when we write the code, at the first of the line we use the doc type, right? So doc type is one of the code that ensure that this particular code uses a version of HTML. So for that things we can write specifies the version of HTML used. I think that one will be the end of this answer, because this is only get 1 mark. Now what does it mean by SSK? SSK attribute specifies our shortcut key to activate an element. Figure 1 shows some HTML code including an SSK attribute. So this will be the code, and they're asking like why the value of SSK attribute in figure 1 is invalid. So when it comes to SSK, actually we're trying to came up with a single character, so that like suppose if I'm using Mac, then command plus that particular SSK can give me a shortcut so that I can able to work quickly, like when I will shifting my mouse and keyboard, like when I shifting my hand from mouse to keyboard, it will actually take some time. So that's why they create this type of SSK, so that everyone can able to just maintain the web page or anything, the text boxes or anything from their keyboard, so they don't have to shift their hand from the keyboard to mouse. So this one is also 1 mark question, is it? So that we can just write here, it can be too many character, or you can also write the value must be a single character. That's it. So we can write the value must be a single character, but they uses 2 character, right? So it's a B and 1, but it can be only B. Okay, now if we move to the question number B, which is describe a block level element. So what does it mean by block level element? Block level element is one of the example of a div. H1 tag, H1 to H6 is all our block level element. Then if you think about P tag, that one is also considered as a block level element. So basically what is mean by block level element? So when you use div H1 or P, you will see that the next tag you added, like suppose after you added the div, if you add P tag or maybe the span tag, you will see that it will start with a new line. It will start from a new line, okay? Because the div element is a block element, and when it comes to a block element, it takes up the whole or maybe the full width available, right? Suppose if my web page is only visible this portion, so when I use div, it will take my whole width. So that's why it is called a block level element. So we can write here the block level element takes up the full width available, right? So we will write here block level element takes up the full width available and starts on a new line. Okay, so this will be the answer for this question. Here you will get 1 mark, and it starts on a new line, you will get another mark. So now when it comes to question number C, it is like figure 2 shows how a web page must be displayed in a browser. The HTML code should display the heading, to-do list, display the paragraph. These are the tasks that need to be completed. Display the nested list. So it will be the nested list. The page does not display as intended because there are 2 errors in the HTML code. Open file question1c.html in a browser. To identify the error, then they say like open the file in your editor, amend the code to correct the two error. So when you are trying to updating the code, during that time you just copy that particular file and give this type name. So when it comes to an error-based question, right, don't try to modify the code. Try to identify where is the error, because they are not giving you the permission to, or maybe they are not telling you to add a new code there. So your task is only to identify the error, right? So there will be some error related to some of the tag name is missing, or maybe they didn't add some of the style there. So that one will be the error actually. So you should not focus on to modify the code, or maybe to add a new things inside the code, is it? So we will start with the coding then. So this is okay. So now what I will do, I will open the question once, is it? So I will just try to rename. So what was the name that I have to give, which is question one c.html, is it? So I just try to copy that one. I don't know, is it applicable or not? Maybe the cut. And then I will add a paste. After that, when I will do the rename, oh sorry, because I already, so maybe from here I just add a finished finished .html. Okay, is it the same name, c finished.html? Okay, so after I run that particular, after I open that particular code, try to run that particular code. Okay, so when I run this particular code, you can able to see that this is the current things that they are showing me. But the issue, they are telling that there's some of the issues related to code, and there is one of the error that I have to find out. So this one should be look like this, but if you look at it, it is looking like this, right? So obviously there will be some error, and I have to find out that particular error. So for that things, what I will do, I'll go to the code, and then I already mentioned that there will be some issue related to the tag name. So try to identify each tag name is. So if you look at this one, this is the starting tag and this is the ending tag they're trying to show. So which means somewhere the tag for the UL is missing. Maybe this is the UL tag. This one is targeting to UL. This one don't have anyone to target. Okay. So which means this is one of the UL. But when it comes to this one don't have the starting UL. So now when I will save, you can see what will be the changes here. Arrange. Okay, I can do one thing, so which is mornings. This one is done, this one is also done, right? And this one will be my code, because they say there will be two errors, right? So maybe I have to find where is the other error is. Yeah, this is the h1. They don't have any end of h2 tag, so for that things I can just add a h1 tag, this one. Okay, so when I will save, you can see the bold of that particular things is gone now, and everything is look like the question paper that we had, is it? The similar like that. So we finished the question number, then C. Now we'll move to explain one difference between a functional testing and usability testing when creating a web page. So what is the difference between a functional testing and usability testing? So when it comes to a functional testing, like suppose if I create a to-do list, so which means I have a function which is I can able to add, edit, add, edit, delete, is it? This is a one type of a function. Or maybe I can also use alarm in that particular, like reminder, is it? So it will help me to give me a reminder. So that one is also a functional test. But I suppose the one thing is, when it comes to usability, how simple it is for the user to use. So which means, like, suppose when you are seeing any of the icon here, that icon is quite similar to us, right? So it will be easier for us to understand, okay, when it comes to this particular icon, that means I can able to write, is it? But if instead of that particular icon, if they use some other icon, then it can be a bit difficult for me to understand what does it actually mean. So it's not about only the icon, the button, or everything where you are using. It must be visible to the user, so that user can um, simply use your software and they will not feel harder to use it, right? So if they feel it harder, then they will not like to use it. So that's why the usability testing is also important. So they actually do a number of survey before going to the prod, or before going to the real user. So they use there's some of the tester, they use that usability testing to give them the clarification about what particular function they think that it is a bit harder for the user. So that's the thing. So how we can write that particular thing, which is like we have to mention both difference, which is functionality and usability. Okay, so here if I want to write, we can write functional testing. Functional testing checks if the web page works properly, while usability testing checks if it is easy for user to use. Okay, if it is easy for, maybe I can write this one. Yeah, it is easy for users to use, right? So this one will be the answer for this question. Now if we move to this one, so CSS is used by a browser to style HTML element. Rules are created using CSS attributes such as this is one of the symbol and this is the dollar symbol. Here are two rules, which is this and this. Explain the difference between rule 1 and rule 2. So this is a part of a regex. So go to the book and try to find out what does it mean by this and this. So if you read the chapter of the regex, I think it will be easier for you to understand what does it mean by this and this. So when it comes to this one we actually we use when you want to add something at the beginning, right? So if you add this one in the base, so which means that particular word will always start with the base letter, base word. And when it comes to the dollar, which means that particular base will always end with the base word. So that's the difference between this two symbol. So okay, so how we can able to write that particular things. So when we are writing, because they are providing this particular thing for the image, right? So we can write this symbol applies to all the image with an alt value that starts with base, right? So because we will include the images, because they provided the particular rule 1 and rule 2. So based on the scenario we will explain it. So we will not just explain it that this particular symbol means that you have to start it with, this will be the base that you have to start. So you have to provide the scenario as well. So all the images alt will be start with base, while the dollar symbol applies to those with an alt image that end with base. So we can write that particular things here. Yeah, so this one will be the answer for this question. Okay, the symbol applies to all images or elements with an alt value that start with base, while the dollar symbol applies to those with an alt value that end with base. Okay, so when it comes to question number B, which is figure 3, include the code of a navigation button. So this is the code, line 7 and 8 in figure 3 shows CSS styling for the image on line 14. Describe the effect that the CSS code on line 7 and 8 has on the images, right? So which means you have to describe this particular images. So we can say that this is a style, so which means this is a CSS code, is it? And then they uses the image, so that is something is happening with the image. And this is a hover. Hover means what? When you are like, hovering on over the image, like you just take your cursor over the image, they do something like they will changes the image, or there will be some of the little bit animation can happen. So which means when you take your cursor to the image, the opacity will be 0.5, which means it will be a little bit transparent, changing to 0.5. So which means when it becomes 0.5, it will be more transparent, right? So we can write the particular answer, which is when the user over the image, when the user hovers over the image, it will become more transparent with its opacity changing to 0.5. Is it? Because if the opacity, if you increases the value from 0 to 1, right, it will be more visible. But when you decrease from 0 to like 1, from 0.9, 0.8, and until 5, it will be the opacity will be decreases. So maybe the image real opacity is 1, but when you hover during that time, the opacity changes to 0.5. Now when it comes to question number C, a web page contain a square. The square must be centered horizontally. Okay, then the color gradient in the square must be purple, blue, and orange. When the user hovers over the colored square, it might take 3 seconds to transition into a rectangle. So this is a part of our animation in CSS. So you can go through the animation in CSS part, and then I think you can able to understand how this particular thing is working. So before starting this question paper, try to read the book. It will help you to gain the knowledge. Then, when the user hovers over the color square, it must take 3 seconds to transition into a rectangle. So that means when you hover, so you will see the live or practical, visibility about how the hover is working here. So amend the CSS code to display the colored square and implement the hover effect. So this is the question 2C that you have to write. So we can go to the question paper now. This is the, so maybe this is one is done. Okay, number question 1C. So we'll move to question 2C, is it? Yeah, it's a question 2C. So we will copy that one again, and then we will paste it here. So whenever we will paste it, we will rename this, and then we will write it as a like finish. So here we will write finish.html. Then we will start working in this particular code. So you can able to see that they said, oh, hover over the image to see the shape changes to a rectangle. But okay, if I look into this particular thing, this is the shape, is it? This is the HTML, which we mainly say that this is a DOM element, right? So whatever we write inside the body, that one is considered as a DOM element. But this is the shape they provided, and height and width is also there, but it is not visible because we are not providing any code here. Add your code to center the shape of the across the pages. Add your code to set the color of the shape, and then add your code to set the transition time to 3 seconds. So they also use a transition cubic bezier. So cubic bezier is a type of you can able to you can provide the transition based on your perspective. Like transition is mainly happening like they are starting with the slowly, and then they end at the faster rate. So if you go through the book, I think you can able to understand what does it mean by transition. So as a terms of cubic bezier, which means we can able to changes or modify the motion of the animation based on our perspective, right? Otherwise we also have ease in, ease out. That one have a default thing or default animation process that they follow. But if you want to came up with something exceptional and you want to provide your own terms, then you can use cubic bezier. Now, if we move to the question, which is the linear gradient, so it will give you a gradient in a horizontal base. That one is called a linear gradient. And we also have another type of gradient. That one is called a radial gradient, right? So try to look at this type of gradient. So when it comes to linear gradient, that one is quite easier because they already mentioned what type of color that we have to use, which is purple, blue, and orange, is it? So maybe we can use the linear gradient, which is purple, and then we can use blue, and then we can also use orange. So when we use purple, orange, and green, you can see they created a gradient. And can you able to see when I take my cursor to this particular boxes, it is becoming, the length is increases, is it? But you have to make it to transition, which is a 3 second. So this is quite easier. Like just add a transition, and then thus at 3 second here. It's, then you save it. Now you can see it will take 3 seconds, is it? So now they said that add your code to center the shape across the page. So which means you have to write some of the code here so that you can able to center that particular code in the middle. So when it comes to div or maybe the p tag, it is quite harder to, like, you can able to center that particular like move that particular like suppose if I use flood for an object, if I use right, it will work, right? It is going to that particular that side. But when it comes to the middle, it is quite harder, right? We have to use positive, relation, absolute, similar like that. But if you look at the particular question, they have this one is only 3 marks, so which means you have to write a one single line of code here. So basically, when it comes to without positive relation, without position relation, and something like that, um, we can use padding and margin, right? So when we add, like suppose if I remove the particular one, if I add margin and then I add margin left. Okay, margin left maybe 100 pixel. And then when you look at this one, this is take this type of spaces, right? But they say to the middle. So when it comes to a middle, this particular animation will be increases from the both side. So that's how we have to use when you use margin auto. Margin auto will take the both space automatically from the left and right. So when we add margin auto and then save, it is actually center now. So when you can able to see both way the transition is working. So this is one of the example of a center a how we can able to center a block element because this is a div, is it? So this is the end of question number C. Then we can move to question number D, which is a web page contain a partially completed meal coupon that need to be formatted using CSS. So the completed meal coupon must have the image of the scissor rotated 30 degrees. So you have to create a rotation. That one you also get in the animation chapter, and a dash border. There will be a dash border, a font size of 50 pixel for the text coupon. Like you have to provide a Italy for the coupon number. Open in your editor, and then you have to do particular things. Okay, so we can go to the code again, go to the browser again as well, and maybe we will just copy that particular question 2D. Where's the this one is the question 2D. So they actually give us a folder. So maybe we can just copy the whole folder and paste it here. And what to say that HTML finish. Mm, okay. So maybe we can. Okay, so this is the procedure I actually give. The way you have to create a folder structure that I'm showing you based on the syllabus or based on the question perspective. But still follow your school teacher, what your school teacher is suggesting to you, right? So sometimes it's depend on the school actually what type of folder structures they follow. So now when it comes to this one, maybe I can just copy that particular thing here, copy, and then I will target this one, okay, and then I will paste it here. So what happened, it will paste it to this particular folder. Now when I will change it to finish dot html, you can able to see that this is the Caesar and milk coupon number is this. So this is the, so now I just want to run this particular thing. Okay, so this is the code that we can currently see. So not the code, sorry, this is the view actually for the web page. But now we have to modify. So what was the question at the first? They said that the image of the Caesar rotated to 90 degrees. So which means we have to rotate that particular image to 90 degrees. So if we look at the code, this is actually the DOM element. This is the image of the Caesar. This is the coupon that uses an ID, and this is the meal coupon, and they have the P tag, and the P tag. Is it? So first of all, we will focus on the Caesar, because if you look at this particular code, they said add your code here. So maybe we have to do something with the Caesar. So when it comes to rotate, we will always use transform, and then we can use rotate, right? And after that, we will use 90 degrees. Okay, it's 90 degrees, almost done. Now, a dash border, is it? So when it comes to coupon, they actually want a dash border, but it was not there. So it's a coupon. Add your code here. So I think you already know that we can use border style. It's a solid, dotted, dash, a different type of border style we can use. So we will use border style. So when I add this dash, you can able to see there is a dash is added, is it? Now, a font size of 50 pixel for the text milk coupon. So which means we have to use a font size which is 50 pixel. So maybe here I can use font size which is 50 pixel, right? So when I will save, now it's become 50 pixel. And the third thing, I think they say that to make it italic. So that one is also quite easy. So when you add the font style, and then you can add italic, and then you save it. So this one is now italic, is it? So done. It's quite easy, right? So we completed the question 2B as well. JavaScript provides interactivity for a web pages. Regular expression can be used to validate user input. This is an example of a regular expression. So this is an example of a regular expression. So we mostly use regular expression to validate the data. So this regular expression would validate user input to ensure it matches this format. So if you look at this table, they already mentioned like what type of regex they're using for what purpose. Like if they're using a slash d, backslash d, and then the second bracket 4, which means they're accepting 4 digit, right? So this d means it can be any digit, which is 0 to 9. And when it comes to 4, which means you can only provide 4 digit. And when it comes to this one means it will accept A to D, all will be the capital letter. And when they provide this one, which means only 2 uppercase letter will be accepted. This one means one or more of the character are, which means you can add one character or more character. This one means it will be lowercase. So when you are not adding anything like this, which means it would only accept one character, and they are using lowercase, so which means they only accept one lowercase character. And when it comes to this one, it means either F or either J. So example of valid input include this, and this. So example of invalid input include this, right? So this one is considered as the invalid one. So they're asking you give one reason why the input this one would fail validation using the regular expressions. So if you look at this particular thing, so they're saying like first one is R, so they're providing R is correct. Then this one is D, 2, is it? So which means we can able to add 2 digit. They also added 2 digit, correct? This one means lowercase letter 3, is it? So lowercase letter 3, correct. This one means either H or M. So we already added H. But when it comes to A to Z plus, which means we can use the capital letter A to Z, but that one is not added here. So we can write one or more uppercase letter is missing from the end, is it? One or more because they added a plus, so it means more, is it? one or more uppercase character is missing from the end of the input. That's that's it. Now, if you look at this one, give one example of an input that would pass validation using the regular expression. So give one example of an input that would pass validation using the regular expression. So in this particular expression, you have to write one of the input that will be acceptable. This and this, the both are the same thing, right? So we can just take that particular word, this one, and then paste it. Okay. And then we just have to add some of the uppercase letter. That's it. So at the end, just add maybe ER because it's a plus. So that's the answer for this one. Where is the question? Where is the the question? Write a regular expression that will validate user input. It must ensure the input begin with 3 uppercase letters. So there will be 3 uppercase letter, is then followed by 2 digit, is then followed by one or more lowercase character, is then followed by the digit 4 to 6. So this one is quite easier. Just try to follow the chart and then you can able to write that particular answer. So it begins with 3 uppercase letter, right? So when it comes to uppercase letter, we have to provide the third bracket A to Z. So which means that one will accept A to Z will be the range. So which means it will accept all the uppercase letter. But here we have to mention it will be 3 uppercase letter. So that's why we have to provide it's a 3. Then they say that it is then followed by 2 digit. So which means it will be followed by 2 digit. So D is the digit and then is a 2. So we will provide this is the 2. After that, they say it is then followed by one or more lowercase letter. So when it comes to lowercase letter, it should be A to Z and more. So that's why we have to add plus because they didn't mention how many. And then is then followed by the digit 4 or 9. So or 9. So which means when it comes to or, we add 4 or 9 like this way. Yeah. So this is the end of this particular question. Now we'll move to question number 3. So open question 3c.html in your editor. The code must allow the user to input 2 numbers and click the submit button. Okay, so it will be better before we started to read that particular question. We will read the code first. So it's question 3c, this one. So first of all, we will copy this one and then we will paste it here. And before we will go through the code, we will run the code to see how it looks like on the browser. So as you can see, this is the code and this is the code and this is the how it looks like. So when I'm clicking on the submit button, nothing is working. So if I go with the code, I can able to see that they added a function, is it? So they added a function here. So the normal HTML body, they added a function and then they inside the function they they declare 2 of the variable, which is num1 and num2. after that, in if else, this is a part of a selection. Okay, so in the selection they didn't add code, and this is a form, right? So when it comes to form, you can see this is the first label, so which means this is the first input number there, and this is the input box. This is the second input number out there. This is the second input box, which is this one, and they have a output message. So there will be something message will be came before the button, but it is not visible. Like suppose if I write something here, you can able to see there's some space out there, but we will use JavaScript to write something there, right? And they provide a button. So if you look at in the button, they uses an event which is on click, and then if you click here, you can able to see when you are clicking on the button, they are calling that particular function. So when I'm clicking on the button, actually nothing is working because I didn't add any of the condition, nothing is there. So now I will read the question. So what was the question actually? So allow the user to input 2 number and click the button. So that means user can able to input 2 of the number, and then they can able to click the button. Compare the number. So the system can able to compare, the program can able to compare the 2 number. Display the message. It will display the message which is the number are the same. If the number are the same, display a message such as 3 is higher than 2 if the numbers are different. So which means if the number is greater than or less than, it will give you a message that it will be greater than, it will be less than, similar like that. So the code contain an incomplete JavaScript function. Amend the JavaScript function so that it compare the number, displays the relevant values. So remember one thing, when it comes to display, we always use alert, right, to display something as a pop-up. It will came at the top. So first of all, we have to we just identify that, okay, we have to write a code so that particular code can able to compare to number, right? So now if you look at that particular code, so this is the places, right, where we can able to add the number. So we can add 4, we can add 5, is it? So when I will submit, nothing is working because I didn't complete the function. So they just remove my number from here. So that means I have to first take that particular value I have to target that particular value, right? So if you look inside the function, you can see I declare 2 of the variable, which is num1 and num2, right? Then I use document.getElement by id, which is num1.value. So what does it mean by num1.value? I mostly use that particular things to target the num1. So this one, right? So this one means this one. So I'm targeting this one, which is input num1, and dot value means the value which will be present inside the input boxes. The same thing is happened for number 2 as well. So if you look at this one, document.getElement by id num2. So this is the num2, right? So when this is the num2, you can able to see this is the num2 dot value. So which means this one. Now var masses, so they have a masses but they didn't add anything, they make it empty. Why they make it empty? Because the masses will be shown based on the condition, right? So this one is a part of a selection, which is the if and else, right? Either this is true, it will show this result, either this is not true, it will show that result. This is particularly that thing. So if you look at the question again, they said compare the number, display the message, the number are the same if the number are the same, right? So maybe we can here, because here we have to add the condition. So we can add, because we are taking the number, we are taking whatever we are writing in this input box, we are taking that particular value in this 2 variable, which is num1 and num2, right? So simply we can just compare these 2 variable in here. So which is num1 equals to, which means when we add equals to, we are comparing is the num1 is equal to num2, right? Because when we add 1 equal, which means we are assigning the value. So if you look at this one, here we add 1 equal, which means we are assigning this particular value to this num1 variable. But when we add 2 equal, which means we are comparing, right? We are trying to identify is the number 1 and number 2 are same or not. So if it's same, then it will give you a message which is the number are the same. So they already give you the message here. Now what will be the other code? They said if something is bigger, right? So we can add the same thing here. Just take the 2 variables. So we will add num1 greater than, then we will add num1 is greater than num2. Okay, so when you will add num1 is greater than num2, the message will be showing which is num1, the variable name, and whatever you will add in the quotation, it will only show that particular word for you, and this one will show whatever the variable that is stored on that particular variable, right? So num1 is higher than, then there is a space which is num2, then else. So what will be the other one? It can be the num2 is higher than the num2, is it? So we can add that particular thing here. So when it comes to a selection part, we have to came up the logic, like how many times, what type of, like how many condition are there, right? So the one condition they already mentioned, which is if the two numbers are similar, so that's why we use that particular condition. Then there is another condition they mentioned, which is if num1 is greater than num2, then it will show this one. But it can also be possible that num2 is greater than num1, right? So if there is num2 is num1, then num2 is greater than num1, then what will be the masses for that one? So that one we just provide inside the else. So which means there's a 3 condition, right? So when there is a more than 2 condition, we came up with if else. But when it comes to condition only, we just only use if else, right? So here we can add, instead of num2, we can add num2. Here we will add num1, and then num2 is higher than num1. That's it. Now add your code here to display the masses. So in the books you can able to find out that there's 3 type of way you can show the masses. One is alert, another one is prompt, another one is, I think, confirm is not a way, but you can also see how the confirm things is working there. So here we will add alert, and then what things we will show? We actually show the masses, is it? So we'll just put that particular variable here. So if you notice this particular thing, at the first we declare our empty masses variable, right? So that's why we provide a string, empty string, which means we are providing a variable, we are declaring a variable, but we are not providing any value in that particular things, because depending on the condition, a different value will be inserted in that particular variable. Now when I will save this one, and then if I click 2 and 2, submit, the number are the same, right? Okay, now if I write 3 and 2, 3 is higher than number 1, but if you notice that we don't have any enough space, is it? So for the space, just provide a space here, and then when you save it, now maybe 2 and 5, you can see 5 is higher than 2. Okay, I think you get the point. Then we can move to the next question. So when it comes to the next question, which is also a JavaScript one, so they said open question 3d.html in your editor. The code must allow the user to input a last name and a first name. So before we go through the code, again we will, before we go through the question paper, again we will go through the code. So D. So we'll just copy that particular one, and then we will paste it here. Okay, so this one is also similar like that. There's a name and first name and last name. There's an add button and a display button, right? So if we look at that particular code, only the form one, which is added in the DOM element, like if you can see, they added a form with an ID, which is ID names, and there's a label, which is a last name, and there's an input, right? This is the input boxes, and they also have a label, which is the first name. They also have an input. This is the input. And then if you look at this one, this is the to button, is it? I meant to call the add name function. So this one is calling the add name function, and this one is calling the function, which is the display. So this is the function for the display, and for this one they didn't call any of the functions, right? So make it empty. So we have to write that particular function here. So when you will call, some code will run, right? So now if you look at this one, this is the function of the add name. So we will just take that particular add name and we will call it here, because if we are not calling, when we are calling the function, we have to use that structure, which is like add name and the parenthesis, which is the first bracket. So now we already call the add name from both of the button, right? We are calling the function here. So now we will go with and see what will be the question is. So they say that input a last name and a first name. Click the add button to add the last name and first name to the array. Okay, so when you will click on the add button, it will add the value to the array. Click the display button to display the content of the array of name. Okay, so whatever the value will be added, then when we will click on the display button, it will show us how many value are there in the arrays. So complete the code. The code is incomplete. Amend the code. Call the add name function when the add button is clicked. I think I already that particular things, right? Add the last name and first name to the array. Display the names in the array. So which means when it comes to a display, we use alert, right? Now save your amended code as this one. Okay, so now if we look at this particular thing, if we look at the JavaScript code, we can see that there's a var and the name array is a variable that declare the name, which is a name array variable, and they're storing they stored multi-dimensional array. So what does it mean by multi-dimensional array? Multi-dimensional array means array inside an array, is it? Which is array inside an array. So when it comes to a multi-dimensional array, remember one thing, that we can able to call that particular multi-dimensional array. It's like, suppose if I do console and log. So when we do console and log, actually we are not showing the variable in the DOM. We are seeing the variables value that is included in the variable, like the value is inside the variable, or the what type of value the variable is stored. We can able to see by using console log inside the log. Like if you inspect it and you go to the console, here you can able to see. So you don't have to write so many code in the DOM like this one is HTML, right? So suppose if I add num array here, num array, and I want to print this mark, right? So what can I do? So when I print the num array, you can able to see that this is the two array dimension, which is the first array is this one, second array is this one, is it? Started with 0. So array will always start with 0. But when it comes to multi-dimensional array, so think about this one, the yellow one, right? The yellow one is the first array. So if you consider the yellow one, this is the 0 variable, this is the another variable, right? So suppose if I want to target this variable, so which means 0 1, I have to write here, I have to use third bracket, and then I have to write here 1. So when I'm writing 1, which means I'm targeting this one, okay? And then I want to target this one, so which means I am already inside this array, and then inside this array, this is the 0, this is the 1, right? So if you look at this one, this is the array 2, which is like array 1 actually, but this one is providing you the length. So now when I will add 1, you can able to see the mark is here, right? So this way we can able to show, or we can able to hold a particular value inside an array. So the first index is representing the first array index, which is the yellow one. This one is the first 0, this one is the 1. When it comes to the second one, it will go into that particular array, the second array, and then it will display the mark, which is 0 1. Suppose if I want to display LE, then what can I do? This one will be the 0, is it? This one will be the 0, and when it comes to this one, 0 and 1, so it will be the 1. You can see LE is there. So this way we can able to call a multi-dimensional array. Now if you look at this one, they are saying like L name, add document.getElement by ID, get element by ID last name dot value. So which means this is the input box, right? Dot value means they are taking whatever we are writing in this particular box, it will be taking that particular value and assigning to L name. So add your code to store the first name value. So it is quite easier. The same thing, you just copy and paste. So if you look at this one, this is the last name, right? They are trying to target that particular input box by using the last name. So just copy this one, and paste it here. So we have to also take the first name. So instead of L, just added F. Document.getElement by ID. Instead of last name, just add the first name. Okay. That okay. So instead of writing the first name, just match that. Is it actually match with the ID or not? So which means when we add this particular two things, we are trying to target that thing, right? So if you want to see like how I can able to hold the value in that variable, you can just simply do console log here. And then maybe you can write L name. Okay, so we just want to see the L name, and then when I will save, you can go to the inspect. Here, that one is quite okay. Maybe okay. So suppose I added the last name, right? So I added this one, and then when I will click, because when I will add, it will not the function is not calling, right? The function is only calling when I'm calling the when I'm clicking on the button. See, Ahmed is already added inside the variable, which is L name, right? So this way you can debug and you can see how the variable is storing the data. Okay, now we can shift to the old things then. Okay, just remove that one. So I think that the same thing is happening for F name. So we are storing whatever we're writing in that input box, we're storing that particular thing in this two variable, right? Now, to remember how we can add a particular value to the array, there is a built-in keyword that we can use, which is called push, right? So add your code to add the last name and first name to the array. So which means we will, whatever we will write in that particular input box, that value will be included inside that particular array. So we have to add that particular name, so which is the name of the array, then dot push. So when you add dot push, which means you are inserting the value to the array, and they will take the value and they will add that particular value at the last index. Okay, so 0, 0, 1, 2. There is another code, there's another reserve keyword, which is pop. So when you add pop, they will remove the last array value from the array as well. So we use push to add the value, right? So if you look at this one, we have a two value that we have to add it. So we will add third bracket and we will add the name. So it will be the last name, comma, then we will add the first name. Then save it. So okay, so we are adding the value to the array. So that means now when I click, it is actually added the value to the array. Okay, so if you want to see, you can just simply do console log. Maybe I can just add the array name here, then save it. Can do the inspect. So when I will do the inspect, suppose if I add this and this and this, and then when I click on add, okay, so I think I have to add that console log inside that particular array, I think, otherwise it will not work, because this code is running right when I'm clicking on the add. So now if I add this and this, yeah, you see the name arrays came up with 3 letters. So because I didn't add anything in the first step, so it's a blank. Did you see how we can came up with this? So this is the first array, it started with 0, 1, 2, and this is the inside array, which is 0, 1. Multi-dimensional array it is. Okay, so I think you get the point. So now they didn't ask us to show it in a console log, right? So they tell us to show that particular thing in a DOM, so which means display here. So it will be display on the DOM, right? We have to came up with a alert, and the alert will display that particular things inside the array. Now, what does it mean by this? Name array length dot array dot name array dot length. So when it comes to name array dot length, which means it will give you the total length of the array. So if you look at this one, how many length this one is. So remember one thing, when it comes to length is always start with 1, but when it comes to index is always start with 0. Okay, so the length of this particular array is 2 now, right? So when I'm adding any of the data by running that particular function, which is add name, so which means I'm adding a value to that array, so that during that time the array to that particular, the length for this particular name array will be 3 then. Now count. So this is the for loop, right? So I think you are familiar with the for loop, how the for loop is working. So what happened when it comes to the count, right? You can use count, you can use I, anything. This is actually a type of variable. So this variable we mostly uses that particular variable, like when you're considering about an array. So this one is actually considered as an index. Just suppose, think about that, this one is considered as an index. Index means the array index. Okay, so here we uses count, which means it will be started with 0. Okay, 0. Now count always be less than the name array length. Why? Because if you think about the index, right, if you think about the index, okay, name array. Okay, if I copy that particular name array here, this is the name array, right? So what will be the index of that particular name array? Can you tell me what will be the index of the name array? What do you think? So when it comes to index, so we will just only think about the first, this one, yellow one, right? So it is started with 0. So when it is started 0, index is always started with 0. So 0, then 1, is it? Then when I add a third value here, it will be 2. That's it. Because I didn't add any of the third value. Suppose if I add a third value here, when I click on the add button, it will add a third value here. It can be this. Okay, so which is, this one is 0, this one is 1, and this one is 2, right? This is the index. But when it comes to the length of this particular array is 1, 2, 3. It started with 1, so which is 3. Okay, so we use this type of condition here. So for the for at that particular thing, this is the initialize, like where you want to start. So we want to start from the 0, is it? So 0 means with this one. Okay, now when it comes to this one, this is the condition, how many times the for loop will run. So which means the count, if you think about the count is 0, is it? So when the count is 0, the name array dot length, which is 3, is it? 3. And the count plus plus will not run at the first time. Remember one thing, when you will run the for loop, the count plus plus will not run at the first time. When the for loop will finish and then it will going at the second time, during that time this one will run, like when they will finish this particular for loop and then they will again started to run. During that time the count plus plus, so count 0 will changes to 1. So suppose if you think about that particular array, so they say that we have to make this particular array visible, is it? We have to make this one, not this one. We have to make all the things whichever is displayed or stored in that particular name array, we have to make it visible in the alert boxes. So we can use alert here, alert. Okay, this one will be the alert box. And then what we can do, did you remember, like when we were trying to identify each of the value, so we will add name array here, it will be the name array. Okay, and then for the multi-dimensional we use 2, is it? This 2 uses 2. So this 2 means when it comes to this 2, maybe by using this 2 we can only visible this one or maybe this one value at a time, but we have to show the 2 value, right? This one and this one as well. So that's why we have to add the another one. So when we want to provide some of the space, we use this one here, provide some space and then add. After that just copy these things here again and then add it here. Okay, so what happened, this one is targeting the first value, this one is targeting the third value. Now so when it comes to the this count, when it comes to a multi-dimensional array, this count is always considered about the first one, which is this one. Okay, first array, which is the yellow one. So which means this is 1, this is 0, this is 1 and this is 2. So which means each time the count will be increases. So first time when the count will be running, the count will be 0, is it? So when the count is 0, it will target this particular variable, sorry, this particular array. And then when they will finish the for loop one time, and then again try to repeat the for loop, because the for loop means is repeated each time, right? So it will increases the count to plus plus during that time, so it will be 1. So when it will be 1, it will target that one. Okay, so suppose it is at first it is targeting the count which is 0, so we don't need to add the 0 here, we just put the variable name here which is count, which means each time the count is plus plus increases, they are trying to target this one. Count is 1, which means this one. Count is 2, which means this one, right? So if you notice that one, count can only able to go highest, which is 2. But if you look at the length is 3, right? So that's why we create a function, because we know that the count can be 3. So when the count is 3, there is nothing with a 3 index, right? It will break the loop. And then here we will add, because if you look at this one, this is the 0, is it? So we will follow the second array inside the multidimensional, so 0. And this one will be the same thing. When it comes to this one, it will go, right? So we also need to identify this one. So here we will add count, and instead of 0, we will add 1 here. Now, when I will save this one, how this thing is working now. Now, at first, I uses a name array length to identify the array of the length of that particular array. So I can identify the length of the array is 3, and the index, when it comes to the index, so this is the count, is actually, maybe you can think the count when it comes to a for loop is a count, right? So the count started from 0, 1 and 2. Okay, now, so this is the for loop. So this is the initialization where we want to start. So we want to start with the index 0. Okay, this is the condition. So what does it mean by condition? Condition means how many times the loop will run. So if you look at this, the loop will run below 3, right? So when the count will be, until the count will be less than 3, it will be running. But when the count will be equal to 3, it will stop. The for loop will stop. Then the count plus plus will be increases one at a time. So now if you look at this particular one, the code, so suppose we are running the for loop for the first time. Okay, so when we are running the count, array for the first time, you can able to see that during this time the value of the count will be 0, is it? So this is just a demo things. This is a 0. So when it's a 0, if you look at the array, which one we will target? We will target this one. This one. We are targeting this one. Okay. Now, so it will go here, count 0, name array count. So count is 0. So 0 means they are targeting this one, right? And then we added 0. So when we added 0, which means that they will only give you the answer, which is this. Sanderson, right? Now, look at this one. So when it comes to this one, when it comes to this perspective, maybe you can add it here, the second one. Okay, the count is still 0, but this one is 1. So when this one is 1, count is 0 means they are targeting this one. 1 0 means they are targeting this, is it? So they will visible LE here, right? Now we complete the first loop. Now we break it, and then we again came. So when we again started the second one, they are tracking, because count will be already plus 1, so which is count is now 1. So when count is 1, they are trying to say, check, is the count is less than name of array length? Yes, because the array of length is 3, count is 1 now. So here it will change. Here the count will change to 1. So when the count will change to 1, you can see which one will target now. We will target this one, is it? So instead of this one, we will target this. Here also the same, because the count is changes to 1. But when it comes to 0, right, which means we are targeting this one here. And here we are targeting mark here. So this is the second time we visit it. So during the time the count was 1. Now we break the loop. Again we start. Okay. So when again we start, it will go to that particular function, then you can able to see that the count will be now increases to +1 again. So now it will be 2. Is it 2? This one will also be 2. So when it will be 2, which one it will target? This one target this one. So when they will target this one, right? So we are actually talking about this, target this one, but we have a 0. So when it comes to 0, it will target D. Same thing, 1, which means if this is the array they are targeting now, it will show you this. Okay, now we completed the second loop as well. Now when you will break, it will go again here, and in this point the count will increases from 2 to 3. So is the count is less than name array length? No, right? So if it's not less than, then it will not go inside the code again, and it will finish here. So now if I remove all the code that is not necessary, that I uses for to explain, now when I will alert means it will be showing in a pop-up, right? Now if you look at the code, not the code, the DOM, add. So I added, and then when I display, see, each time I click OK, the name is showing to me. The 3 name are there, right? Add. Yeah. So this way, they are actually added all the name. Is it? So each time you will add, it will store a new variable. Like suppose now if I add John, Harry, okay, then when I will add display, you can see this name I added 2 times, so that's why it's coming 2 times. You can see Harry, right? So this is the end of this question. Then we will move to the next question. The last question is key press and key up are keyboard events. Explain one difference between the key press event and the key up event. Okay, so what is the difference between key press event and the key up event? So when it comes to key press and key up event, in the merge scheme, they're saying like event will be triggered when the user presses a character. So when it comes to key press, when you press something, it will be triggered. And when it comes to key up, when you release that particular key, it will trigger during that time. So both are actually an event, right? So when it comes to an event, we have an on-click event, we have an on-load event, right? In the books, you can able to find all type of event out there. I think on blur event, there's a lot of event out there. So when it comes to key press and key up, this is too is also considered as an event. So I created a code so that it will easier to for you to so that you can get a demo. Like this is an input box, okay? So this is the input box. So suppose here, if I write A, if I like I'm pressing A, okay? So when I'm press A, you can able to see the key press is added, okay? Key press event A. Now when I release my finger from the keyboard, the key up event A is off, right? So did you get the difference? So when I will hold something on the keyboard, that particular thing will show. Like now when I add a backspace. So remember one thing, when it comes to shift, backspace, during that time key press is not working. So when I click on shift, see, key up only working, key up event shift. So which means key up is working for each and every number. Sorry, number, each and every keypad button. Okay, so when you take your finger up, it will just load, event will fire off means the event will call. But when it comes to key press, it is only applicable for the number of the word. So if I write 3, and see key press event is called, right? So I'm still holding my finger on the keyboard. Now when I release, key up event, see, now when I backspace, when I click on the backspace, see, I am still holding on the backspace button. But did you see the key press event call? No, right? So when I remove my or release my finger from the board, you can see key up event fire. The backspace is fire. So I think you get the point. You can also try this particular code if you want. You can write the code and then identify how this particular thing is working. It will give you a more meaningful way to understand. Okay, so which means we identify what's the difference between key press and key up. So now if I want to write, what I can write? Key press, key press will be triggered when the user presses a character key. Is it character key means A, B, C, D, something similar like that, 1, 2, 3, 4. So whereas key up will be triggered when the user releases the key. That's it. Okay. So we will start section B, which is I think it is the question 4. So it's a mixture of HTML and CSS. So we have to create a web page based on the instruction that is given in this application. So this question will take almost like 50 to 60 minutes to complete, right? So when you are giving the exam, try to take that much time when you are solving the question paper. So when it comes to question 1, 2, and 3, it is quite easier. You can complete it within 1 hour, I think, or maybe 1 or 30 minutes almost. When they already advise you that it will take you 120 minutes in this section because it's a bit a lengthy, right? So when it comes to this one, everyone for sport needs a web page. A wireframe and a style guide had been provided. Shows the wireframe, a mockup in PDF format can be found in the assets folder. So this is the things that we have to design. Okay. So which means there will be a header and there will be two body there. We have to write something and there is a footer. We have to add the email. This is the content and everything is written. Okay? So if you look at this one, this is a 900 pixel, this is a 590 pixel, similar like that. And this is all the requirement that you have to one by one. Like first they use the first they tell you some of the default design that is mostly applicable for whole web pages, and then what design you will add for the header, and then what things you will add for the content, and then what we add for the foot. So basically, before started to read this, we can just see how it looks like. And we can open the particular folder, which is question number 4. You can see this asset folder. They gave you all those assets, and this is the mockup. So it will be better if you load that particular mockup on your browser. So it will be help you to see the mockup visually. You can able to see that this is the mockup that we have to design. They already provide all the text here and what will be the images and everything is there. So okay, let's start. We'll start to design this one. Then first of all, what you have to do, the asset is there. The times. This is actually a simple page that you have to link up. For that, if you go to that particular question, you can able to see that hyperlink. Insert the text jumps to time. Add a hyperlink to the text paragraph on the pages on the pages times.html. And they say that we have to use two, which is two file. One is HTML and the another one is CSS. So I just copy that one and then click here. From here, I just added that one as one of the file. And then I have to add another one, this one. So I just want to copy and paste, but because I think when you do copy and paste, there is a less chance to do the error and mistakes. So first of all, we start with HTML. So maybe we'll just so done. Then maybe we will run it to see how it looks like. Okay, we also have to connect the CSS, because if you look at the question at the first, they say that you have to use external CSS. So use an external style sheet, right? So we have to use an external style sheet. So try to take a pen with you so that you can mark which point you are actually finishing. So we go here, and then from here, because when you're trying to link something, what we did, we use a link, is it? Link, and in the link we can use the name of that particular question paper, so which is question 04 finish.css. So we will already connected CSS to that HTML now. So when you move to the CSS, because when you go to that particular question, you can able to see that they are saying like use an HTML element 5 to define the different parts of the page. So I already use this HTML5, right? Because when I use doc type here, which means this one is HTML5. Now the next question is use Verdana font style. External style sheet is done. Suitable padding and margin. So we will set some of the default features in the CSS. So when it comes to default features, I think you already know that when it comes to universal, right? So that is applicable for all who use star. So they say that you have to use font family, which is Verdana. So just add the Verdana. Don't need to add everything. Just add the Verdana. So this is the font family that I want to use. And this is a default thing. It's actually up to you. So when I will create any of the website as a default, I just try to, make the padding and margin to 0 so that it will not, give me a headache in the future with the extra margin and padding, so that I can able to get all the space that is available in this particular web page. That's it. So I already completed this part as well. Okay, this one is done. Now, web page style guide. So which means we have to use that particular style guide. But before that, maybe we can just follow a little bit of this. So this one will be the header, right? This one will be, maybe we can add this one as a section. So inside the section, we can add, this is a div, this is a div, and this one is a footer. So if it's like that, so maybe we can, first of all, we will just create a structure. So inside the body, when it comes to a structure, I have to add a header first. Header. Then I want to add section. Okay. Then I want to add foot. So I already created 3 sections in my VS Code. Sorry, in my web page code, whatever it is. Then if you look at the first one, okay, so they have a logo here. They have everyone for sports and everything. And then if I go down, they also guide me something, right? So first of all, what I'll do, I will try to add the code. So remember one thing, when it comes to the 2 boxes, like if you see this one, this is a 2 box, right? This one is also 2 of the boxes. That one is for from Appert. So we will use grid, because I think when we will use grid, it will be easier to remember and easier to use as well, because all type of question which is related to question 4 came with this type of similar shape. So if we know how to use the grid, if we are good in grid, I think this one will save a lot of our time, because when you use div, positive, relative and everything, sometimes the code, the structure is different, so the positive, relative and absolute are not working properly. So when it comes to grid, it will be working, most of the time it will be working same, right? Just remember one thing, when it's a comma div, like sorry, grid, we have to create a wrapper first. Like there will be div, one div, and inside div there will be 2 div, right? So the 2 box you wanted to create, you have to add it 2 div. So that means there will be 1 div. This one will be the 1 div. This one will be the 1 div, and this way you can create the structure. Now, if you look at the question here, this is the header part, right? So when it comes to the header part, we will look at the mockup. So first of all, we added the header, means this is the section that we trying to add, like. So this 2 I want to add in a grid, this 2, the logo and the everyone for sport. So for that thing, what I have to do, I have to provide some of that div first, right? And then I said that when you added a grid, you have to cover, like you have to wrap, right, the 2 of the div that you want to put inside the grid. So which means this is one of the div I want to add. So this one is for the logo. And then I want to add everyone for sport. For sport. So this one will be the another div. Okay, done. So this is for the grade. This is for this particular. Then we will move to this one. So this one will be maybe the H1. Just added H1. This is the subheading maybe, and this is the link. So this is the three things that we have to. So this is the one. Maybe I can add a class which is maybe header wrap. Header wrapper. Wrapper means something that try to use the small one. Okay. Now this one is done. We will look at that better. So H1. So inside the H1, I want to add everyone for sport. So maybe I just be this one, and then just paste it here and save it. And when it comes to this one, maybe this one I want to add as a subheading. So for that things, maybe I can use p tag and something for everyone. Just add it here. And when it comes to this one, this is actually a link, hyperlink. So okay, so we will do it later. First of all, we just create a structure of this one. Now, when it comes to the first one, this one, so this one, so we have to provide a logo here, is it? So when it comes to logo, we will add image tag. Image have a source and the alt tag means like unable to readable, right? Somehow if there's some issue with the internet and it can't able to load that particular pictures, it will show that it's a logo so that people can able to understand, okay, this is a logo. Then we can also provide a name class as well. So we can add a name, which is a logo. And then for the source, I have to connect it to the asset folder. So assets, and then this is a logo.jpg, right? So logo.jpg already connected. So I think I connected the logo. If you want to see, this is the logo that I added already. Now for this one will be everyone for sport. So I want to add here. And I have to provide a name here, so class name. So maybe I can add the class which is considered as maybe header one. Okay. And maybe for this one, I want to add header 2. So try to provide some of the class names so that it will be easier for you when you work with the CSS. Header 2. This one is done. Then for this one, I also want to add a class name, which is subheading. And try to provide some of the meaningful class names so it will be easier for everyone to read. And here I have to connect the hyperlink as well. So when it comes to the hyperlink, they also already give us the hyperlink, which is times.html, right? So we will just add that particular link here, which is times.html. And in this anchor tag, we will add jump to time, okay? Jump to time, yes, jump to times is done. But we also have to use a class. So maybe we can add a class here, which is a hyperlink. So we are actually added the class so that we can call that particular element from the style sheet. Okay. So this is done. So if you look at this one, it looks like this. So because we didn't add CSS yet. So now maybe we can go to the, because I already created the structures for this one. So now I will look at how can I came up with the structure. So header, right? This is a part of the header. Set background color to cadet blue. So this is the background color that I have to add. So first of all, if you notice this one, they said, okay, this one is a the width is 1900, right? 1900, yes. So maybe when it comes to the body, we can set the width of the body to 1900. Okay, so maybe we can add body. Body is the tag name, so we don't have to put anything. Just add the width, which is 900. Excel. And then save it. After that, we will move with the part of the logo. So if you look at the mockup, they say that the logo is 80 pixel, is it? 80 pixel. So here we can add logo dot logo, okay, and then we can add logo will be with 80 pixel, right? They said 80 pixel. So we will add 80 pixel. Now you can see it's become smaller now. So after that, if we go here, they say the background color should be this one. So for that thing we can add inside the header, because this is a part of a header color. So on that basis, maybe what is the header section? This is all the part of a header, right? So we just take that particular header name, and then here we can add the background color, which is this. Okay, so I already get the background color now. Then this one is done. Insert the logo image as shown. The image can be found in the asset folder. We already done that particular thing as well. Insert the text everyone, for that one is also done. Set the font size to 35 pixel. Set the font color to this one. So that this one we have to work on. We have to set the font color. So which means what is the name of that particular class name we gave, which is header 1, right? So we will add the header 1 here. And then in the header 1 we will add, yeah, maybe I can add it here. Okay, so when it comes to the header 1, they say that set the font size. So we have to set the font size. So font size will be 35 pixel. And then they say the font color, right? So when it comes to font color, we just only use color. So this one will be the font color. Then you have to use italic, right? Italic and right align the text. So maybe for italic we will use font style here. And right align the text, so which means we can use text align, which is right. So which means it's almost done, right? Body, logo, header, and then header 1 is done already. So this one is done. So which means this part is done. We already completed this one. Now we will look at this one. So this one is a header 2, is it? So inside the text everyone for July competition as shown. So this one, July competition, right? 40 pixel. So if you look at this one, I added the name, which is a header 2. So give the name header 2, and then after that set the font size. So same, just font size, color, and text alignment. They are not the italic. So we just copy that particular thing, just remove this one, and this one will be 40 pixel. The color will be this one will be the color, and it will be center align. Okay, so we will add center. So text align will be center. Now insert the something for everyone as shown. So we have to now work with the subheading. So this one, something for everyone, this one. So the class name is subheading. So we will take that particular subheading here. This is a class name, so which means we have to add a full stop. And then we will add font size, which is a font size, color, and the same thing. So just copy that particular thing and add it here, because the font size is 25 pixel. So we will change the 25 pixel. The color is similar, so we put that particular color, and also takes the center align. It's done. Now if you want to see how it looks like, it's look like this. Okay, so we also have to work something with this, which is jump to this one. And if you look at the logo, this is exact automatically is this totally connected to this? Then I think it's not looks good, you see. So maybe in the header part, because this is the part of a header, we can add some of the padding here. So when you just come to header, I want to add a padding. So when I will add a padding, which is 20 pixel, it will give the space from the both side, top, down, left and right. Okay, see, both way they are giving the space. Okay, so this one is done. I think when I click on jumps, it's also working, right? This one is also working. So which means if I go with the question, we completed all, but we have to, if you look at this one, hyperlink, they also set some of the add the hyperlink. This one is done, this one is, but we have to set the font sizes. So that's why we will take this class name, which is hyperlink, and then I will add here the font size. So the font size will be what will the font size? It will be 12 pixel. So we will add 12 pixel. Okay, so when I will add the 12 pixel, you can able to see it looks like this. So I think it's done, but now we didn't even added the grid part yet, right? So this is the thing, like if you look at this particular web pages, you can see this one is a bit up, this one is a bit down, so it's not a grid. So when it comes to mockup, they are actually equally, they are separated with each other, right? So maybe we can do like that way. So we have to use a grid. So when it comes to a grid, I say that grid has a wrapper. So this is the wrapper. So we will take that particular class here, and then we have to add the display, which is display, and then we will add grid. Okay, display grid is added. So after that, you have to provide the column, like grid template, like how many column you want to add. So maybe we can add grid template column. So like for me, I just like to add auto. So if I add 2 auto, which means it will automatically create 2 row for me with the equal size. Okay, now you can able to see they are also aligned with each other equally now, right? Auto. So if I add another auto, if you add 5 auto, which means it will create 5 boxes for you, equally 5 boxes for you. So I think it's a done, right? So now it's not below the e logo, it's both are together, similar like that. Okay, so which means we completed this particular part. So which means we are actually completed the header part. So header part is done now. Now we can maybe we can focus on the body part. So I mentioned already, when it comes to the body, I also want to add the grid, is it? So when it comes to a grid, so this is the section, is it? So this is the 2 of the things. So maybe I have to add a wrapper, right? Grid wrapper, and then one div will be this one, mini Olympics, and then I want to add another div. Okay, so I don't want to add a div because maybe I can use the section as a wrapper. So I can use 2 div. Okay, for me, I think 2 div. Okay, section, I will use section as a wrapper, div wrapper. Like for this one, I use this div, right? So for this one, I will provide all the grid code to this particular section. So now if I look at this one, like for this div, I want to provide the class name for this div with mini Olympics. This one will be the mini Olympics, okay, for this particular one. And if we look at the second one, this one will be the maybe the competition. I can give the name, which is a competition. So I will just edit the name from here, and then I will paste it here. So I will provide the name which is called competition. So this one is one, this one is one, done. Okay, now we will focus on this part. Okay, so when you will focus on this part, so first of all, we will not go with the question. Okay, so we will just try to create some structure from our side, then we will go with the question things. So this one is done. Then if I want to create this one, so if you look at this particular one, this one is a Olympics, is it? They added a header which is a Olympic. So we already added h1 here. Maybe this one is a smaller one, so I wanted to use h3, and then I want to add mini Olympics. Okay, so maybe we can do the same thing for this one as well. This one, if you look at this one is a last year competition, right? So I just copy and then paste it here, and then here maybe I can use last year competition. Done. So if you look at my, it looks like this because I didn't use the grid or anything yet. Now maybe we already identify how will be the structure will be, and then we can go with this one. So set the background color to pastel, like this is the background color that they ask us to do. So when it comes to the background color, because if you look at this one, this is the section, is it? Set section. So we will add a background color to the section. So we will add this particular color. I think this color is the same color that we added. No. Okay. So now if I click here, you can able to see this is the color, right? Now insert to column. So I already mentioned that when it comes to the section grid, I will add all the things to the grid, because if you look at that particular one, I added the grid to the header. So header wrapper, is it? Where is the header wrapper? This is the header wrapper, and section I will use as a wrapper for my two boxes, right? So I will add a display, which will be grid. Okay, display grid is display grid is there, and the same thing, right? Here I'm also uses two boxes, so that's the same thing. Just copy and paste it here. So when you'll copy and paste, you can able to see that this is the two boxes, is it? It already created the two boxes. So suppose if I remove this one, you can see it looks like this when I do. See? Okay. Now, if you look at this particular things, you can see there's some of the gap out there, right? And these two are two different color. So okay, we will see that one a little bit later, I think. So to column, then set the background color to Tana. So which means each column we have to provide a different background color. So if you look at this one, this one, right? So this one name is header, this one name is Mini Olympics. This one is a competition. So we can use Mini Olympics, and then we can use here the name, and then I'm gonna use the competition as well. I can provide the name as well. Okay, so when it comes to the Mini Olympics, we just copy the background then, because they said in the question, they said column, then you have to use this particular field name. The same name will be added for both as well. So when I will save and go to that particular code, you can see. So if you look at carefully, like they are actually taking the whole thing. There's no gap, nothing. Like when you see this one is some gap, right? From this side, they don't have anything. So we have to think about that as well. So how we can able to do that? For that things, like to create a gap, when it comes to a grid, we can also create a gap between the two boxes, right? So for that things, we can use a gap code style. So there's a gap. So if you add gap 30 pixel and then you save it, you can see the gap is created now. See, there's a gap is created between these two, but there is nothing gap here and here as well. But if you see, there's some of the gap at top and bottom. So maybe we can use padding here in the section. So when we add padding, right, padding 20 pixel will take both of the padding, like up, down, and everywhere this way. I think, is it okay? This one is a bit, up and down is a bit more compared to this two. if you want, you can just, because when it comes, when you want to add the left, right, and up and down, you can add 2. So if you want to add increases the value for that one, you can add just 30 pixel here. So that one, I think it's okay, right? Now if you look at this 2, this 2 is actually center align, is it? So we also have to make it to the center align. So maybe for the Olympics, because if you look at this one, this is the header. So I think you already know when it comes to H3, this one is considered as an as a block element. So when it's a block element, we can add text align center, right? So the same thing goes for this one as well. Text align center. So this is the center. I think it's done. Okay, yeah, it's done, right? So maybe we can now go with the question paper, and then insert the column heading mini Olympics, and this one is done. But they say to set the font size to 20 pixel. We also center it aligned, so we will set the font size to 20 pixel. So maybe I can just copy this one. $20 pixel, right? This one will also be 20 pixel. So I added 20 pixel. Done. Insert the running and football image as shown. The image can be found in the asset folder. So this is a bit tricky. So they're saying like insert the running and football image as shown. The image can be found in the asset folder. Set the width of the image to 410 pixels. Change the running image to the football image when the user hovers over the running image. So what does it mean by hover? Like when I click here somewhere, it will change to other things, right? So if you look at this one, they said running images, running JPG changes to football when the user hover. So which means we have to now added some of the images here. So I think we can focus on this one now. Okay, so if you look at the code, then we can go here, this part. So in this portion, I want to add an image. Okay, image, they say the default image is the running.jpg, right? So here we will just call the asset, and then from there we can able to get running image, right? Just choose the running image here and give a name, a suitable name, which is a running image. Okay, and maybe you can add a class name as well, class, which is, because they provide us some of the width and height that we have to add. So we added the running image. Done. Now if I see this one, you can able to see this is the running image that we get currently. Okay, now if I go here, you can see that they also have some of the text. So this is the our July competition, and then they use a unordered list, right? Similar like that. So for that things, I think we can able to add the text as well. So maybe for this one, we can use p tag. Okay, p tag. So maybe we can think this one is the first para. So I will add a class name, which is first para. Okay, and then maybe I will just copy this one from here. You can get all these things from here as well. Like they already give you the text, mini Olympic text 1 and text 2, right? You can copy it from here if you can't able to copy from here. So div is done, competition is done. Okay, so we added the first para, and then see how it looks like. It is looks like in this, so there is nothing is actually visible. Then maybe we can use this one. So this one will be the unordered list. I think you already know what how we can able to use the unordered list, right? So this one. So instead of writing, I just copy all those things, and then I will paste it here. So it will be unordered list, right? So now you can see this is the unordered list. So we will do the some CSS, because now we are just trying to structure everything. So for after this one, we will focus on this part. Okay, just copy this one, and then this is the UL is done here. I will again add a para tag and add it here like this. Okay, But if you look at like after London, there's a sum of the break, so it will start from a new line, is it? It start a new line. So if you want to structure like that way, you can just add the br in between. So break, it will provide you a break. First break and then copy and then press the second break. Okay, copy after 30 march to the latest. So march to the latest, this one. Okay, I think it's done already. So if you look at this one now, it looks like this, right? So we have to structure that one. Maybe we can that one a little bit later. So if you go to the question now, the running football image can be found. Set the width of the image. So we have to set the width of the image to 410 pixel. So because the image is quite bigger now, so I just want to, because what's the image name I gave? So this is the running image name. So that take that particular running image and then add it here. So the width will be 410 pixel. Okay, change the running image to the football image when the user hover over the running image. So when it comes to the hover, so we have to add a hover image. So we can, instead of writing added the hover image here, we can just write the hover image here. So we will add dot running image, then hover. We mostly use colon and then hover, right? Like this way, hover, and then inside the hover we can use content. Okay, content, then you add url. Inside the url just added the image. So what's the image? A football image. So that the asset and the football jpg. Okay, done. So the width for this one is also be 410 pixel. Done. So we are completing this part. So if you look at this one now, see, it changes, right? Okay, so somehow we complete this one. Now if we move to the question, insert the para of text as shown. Text can be found in the asset folder. Set the font size to 16 pixel. Justify the text. So which means they say that we have to provide the text, all the text will be 16 pixel, and insert the bulleted list as shown. Set the font size to 16 pixel. Then for this one also, final text will be 20 pixel. Okay, so maybe the first para, the first inside the para as shown can be this one. 16, justify the text. Okay, so when it comes to this one, actually the first para that I gave, maybe this one, I will target this particular one. And here I can add, what will be the font size they mentioned? It will be a 16 pixel, is it? Font size will be 16 pixel. Then they said that text align will be justify. Okay, justify is done. Now they said when it comes to the bullet list, so which is a UL, is it? It's a UL, unordered list. So we can use that tag name. And then we can use font size will be 16 pixel, right? Insert the final text as shown. Set the font size, this one. Okay, I think they are saying that this is the final, or maybe this is the final text. Yeah, text aligned to the center. See, this one is aligned to the center, so they are trying to say about this particular one as a final text. Okay, so if you look at this one, we actually added all the features. We just missed out this particular one, the karate image. So if we look at the images now, how it looks like, it maybe look like this, but we also have to do some of the things. So we will do it a little bit later, just see how it looks like. Okay, so we will move to this part now. So this part also have one of the image that we have to add. So we will just copy that one, copy one, this one, and then we will start it to work here now. So in this particular here, the image is called karate, is it? So just remove that one, and they will karate.jpg. So here just add karate images is there. Then this particular thing we can just add in a p tag, and then we will add all these things here. So maybe, yeah, p tag. Okay, so it will look like this now. We also have to use this one, which is a final para. Maybe we can add p as well. Now here we can add class, which is final para, and then instead of final para we can use this one. Just copy and then paste it here. So this is the final para, right? So we go here and then we will add the final para. And if you look at the question, they say that instead the final text as shown set to font size, so it's a little bit bigger, so it's a 20 pixel. And text align should be center. So now if you look at this one, yeah, but we have to provide some BR, is it? So that it will, there's some of the space that we can see. So I think one is okay because there's not that much gap. If you see here, yeah, now it's okay, right? Okay, so somehow we came up with the ants, this one, but why it is looking, why there's a hovering is going on. Maybe I did a mistake. Yeah, because I have to change the name, class name, right? It will be karate image. So when I will add name, the name changes the name of the, you can see it's quite bigger now. So I also have to provide some of the style for the karate image. So what will be the style that we'll give for the karate image? Maybe we can see the question. The question said that it should be 205 pixel, is it? And okay, so we will add width 205 pixel. So you can see it's now smaller, but the text are not wrapping, right? So for that thing we have to use float, and then we will use left. You can see the text are now at the left side. So now if I, you can see it looks like this. Now what you have to do, maybe we can add a little bit margin, because this is, there is some of the spacer here, right? So if we want to add some of the space here, so maybe we can write margin right, which is 15 pixel, which I can add. Margin right will be a fixed 15 pixels. So you can see now they are giving some of the space, a little bit of space here, is it? Okay, but still we have to do a lot of things. So I think we will do the lot of thing later, because we already add everything here, right? I think this one it will be better if we do some of the bold, right? They didn't mention in the question, because sometimes they didn't mention it in everything in the question. Sometimes we have to do it from our perspective. So maybe when I go here, this one, maybe I can add a bold here, so B, and then just copy this one and then add it here. How it looks like now. Yeah, it's similar like that, right? Now we will focus on the footer. So when it comes to the footer part is the email your interest, right? So what's the question they're saying? Insert the email your interest. Okay, so we'll add email your interest, and then they say it's set the font size similar like that. Create an email link. Okay, so instead of this, what we will do, because when it comes to email we use anchor link, okay, and then we will add the email your interest in this one. Why we use this one? Because when someone click in that particular email, it will open their mail. So that's why we have to use mail to. Okay, remember one thing, we have to use the mail to. So you can see this is the everyone for sports, so we will just write it this one. Okay, mail to colon and then the email that they gave you. Now we completed this one. Now we will add the CSS here. So we will directly add the footer, because footer is a tag name, and then we add send the font size. So we will add the font size to 16 pixel, and then font color, so which is color, is it background color? They also have a background color, so font color will be this one. And then we will use the background color, which is this one. And then email I already added, developer, prototype web page, this one the mockup style guide. So I think we already completed all the things that they're written in this question paper. Now if you look at this one, the footer is already here, right? But if you look, the footer is all they don't have any space. But if you look at this one, they have some of this space. So for that thing, what do we have to do? We have to provide some of the padding, is it? So padding, maybe I can add padding 20 pixel. I think it's okay. Yes, 20 pixel. Yeah, I think it's okay, right? Really done the setup, like we already completed everything from the question paper. Now what we will do, we will see the mock-up and try to fix everything, right? So if you look at this one, this tool, the grid that I uses, which is auto, right? So when I'm using an auto, the problem that I'm seeing, that the auto is only taking the space which is required. It is not giving you the equal space actually, right? So from this one we can able to see actually, because they don't have the specific color, they have the color. So how to fix that one? To get as equal space or the equal column, instead of auto we can use 1FR. Okay, 1FR. So when I will use 1FR, I think the upper one is okay. So you can able to see now the two is taking equal space. I think it's done. Now if you look at this one, they're actually at the middle of the, it's up to you, you can also add at the middle. So maybe for the body, when it comes to the body, I just want to take that particular website at the middle of the web page, not at the left. Just want to add it to the middle. So for that things, maybe I can set the body. Okay, so when it comes to the body, I can add some margin. So I can add margin left maybe 25%. You can increase and decreases the percent and see how it looks like. Okay, so I added it like that. I think that one is perfect. Now if you look at this one, this is a zero, right? So I want to fix this one, because if you look at this one, they have some of the bracket like a break the space are there, but I don't have any space, so I want to provide some space here. So for that things, maybe I will go here and just wrap that particular UL with p tag. Okay, just take all the UL together and then paste it here, so it will wrap. And still it's not working. Then what can we do? Can provide some of the BR here because I want to take some space. Okay, then also do the same thing at the down as well. Okay, now we will see how we can fix this particular thing. So this one is not fixing the problem. So sometimes what we can do actually, try to inspect these things from the browser and see what's the actual issues. So if I inspect this one from here, okay, so you can able to see this is the div, right? And this is the UL which is creating the problem. So if you look at this one, the universal is the one. So if I just remove that p tag, it is going downward now. And if you look at this one, this is a center align, but this one is not in the center align. So what we can do for this one as well, if we click on here, this is a center align text out there. So maybe we can remove this one. So it will give me like this shape, is it? And there's also some padding that I have to add. Okay, so I get what I have to do. So now I will go to the code again. And then I will run, because when you run every code, whatever you inspected, that will be lost. So now I will go to this one and then I will remove that particular padding because this is the one which is causing the problem. So I'll take it down and then I find out that the mini Olympics, which is a center text alignment. If you look at this one, they say the center font to this one center align the text. But they say the center align the text, but the text is not center aligned. But if you write it, there's this one is I think is also okay. But I want to write it to the mockup, so I just comment it and it will be look like this. And there is no padding, so I want to provide some of the padding at the top and bottom. So maybe I can add 10 pixel. So there is some padding is added here. So if you look at this one, it's a little bit bigger. So maybe we can add, instead of write the first para, because all the p tag, we can just target all the p tag. So maybe first para was this, is it? Yes, maybe instead of first para, I just add the p tag. And then when I'll see, all the p tag will get the 16 pixel, is it? So here I also have to provide some of the padding. So competition, just copy this one and paste it here. The padding is also provided. And if I look at this one, this is the center align, right? Yeah, so maybe they say to center align the heading, not the body part, I think. Yes, I think so. So maybe we can just remove this one as well. Don't need. So when it comes to the header, H3 is the header, is it? Both H3. So maybe we can target H3 here. And then we can add, if you look at this one, when I added the competition is actually targeting the whole thing. But they are actually telling you to, I think that column heading, right? I think this one is only for the heading person. So maybe we can add H3 and then we can take that font size and everything to here. And then I save it. I think I don't need the font size for this one as well. Now, when I look at this one, yeah, it's a center align, is it? Now, if you want to provide some of the space at the below, you can also give it. So I think we're already completing this one. Okay, it's done. So sometimes some of the things you have to fix after you complete everything. Okay, so now it's looking perfectly. But if you look at this one, maybe the please join us, you can provide one BR here. Maybe you can add, okay, copy one of the BR and paste it here. Save it. Okay, is it okay now? Yeah, I think it's done. So we completed the question 4. Now we will move to question 5. Number 5 is everyone for sport wants to improve the functionality of his website. It wants to implement. So they want to implement something. So before we move to the question, like before we read the question, we can just see how the code looks like. Okay, then we will start to read the question. So this one is the first question, which is save your file as event result finish.html, and this one will be this. So when I move to the question number 5, this one is the question number 5. So event result, right? So we just copy that one and try to point here and then paste it here. Okay. So when you will paste, just copy that particular one, which is event results.html, rename and paste it here. Okay, sorry, it should be this way. Okay, so now if we run this particular code, then we can see how it looks like. So it looks like this. So which means is this one is also a table, right? And the users are fastest time. So this is all the labels, this is the input boxes. If you go through the code, so first of all we will just go through the code, how the code is looks like. So we can see that this is a head and they provided a style here, right? So inside head they also provide a script. So script, if you notice this particular thing, you can able to see that this is also a multi-dimensional array. So athlete, right? So this is the first array, and inside array there's a number of small array. So this is one of example of the multi-dimensional array that we just did a few minutes ago. Then when it comes to this one, this is the body, right? It start here, and inside the body you can also see that there is another JavaScript is written. So when it comes to JavaScript, you can write the JavaScript in both on the head as well as on the body as well. So this is the header one, and the table they added. So this is the table. So if you look at this one, the table have the header t head per. So here they actually mention all the headers. So athlete number, school, athlete, and the time is there. This is all are there, right? Then in the script, the body is actually when it comes to the body, you have to write 4 row. Is it 1 2 3 4 row? So instead of writing the 4 row, they just create a loop, so that the loop will run 4 times and it will create a loop for you like that. So this one is the for loop. So here if you look at this one, before we use count, now we are using row. So this is the same thing, we just initialize it with a 0 row and athlete dot length. So which means this is the athlete. When it comes to the athlete dot length, length is always started with 1, so it will be 1 2 3 and 4. And row, which means row is a index, is it the index, the first thing that they mention, this one. So this is the first row, which is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Then they add a document.write. So what does it mean by document.write? It is writing this tr, and inside the tr there's a td, right, and td. So you have to write a code here. So I think you already know that when it comes to athlete, right, the row 1, which is the first index of the array, and this one will be the array inside array, right? So this is the 0 index. So I think you can able to understand that if you look at that particular table, you can see the time, the value for the time is missing, because this one is taking the part in athlete. Like if you look at this one, the athlete number is this one, school name is okay, but when it comes to the athlete name, maybe that one is missing. The time one is become blank because they did some of the mistakes, so they didn't added the code here. So when you look at this particular code, we can see that document.write td athlete 0 row and then 0. So when it comes to row, so which means it is the first array, this one is it, and 0 means when it comes to 0, so first array this one, so which is a 1, it is targeting 1. When it comes to 0 row 1, it is the 1, so it is targeting this. So similarly, we will just copy these things and then we will paste it. So 0 1, we will write the 2 here. So when you will write 2 here, you can able to see it looks like this, is it? So we completed this part, and then we can able to see that we have to write the fastest time, right? So they provide us a table, so we have to write a code. That particular code can able to identify who is the fastest, like who is the athlete they completed the race within the shortest time. So now if we look at the question, I think it will be easier for us to understand. They say that event result.html contains an early prototype. When the event result page is loaded, an automated method must display the details of the athlete who took part in the 100-meter sprint, right? Find the athlete with the fastest time. So you have to find the athlete who will be the fastest time, display the detail of the athlete with the fastest time. So then you have to find it and then you have to display it here. So when it comes to display, actually I think when it comes to display, here we are displaying this inside this particular box, right? So because they already give us the box, so we don't have to use the alert type of things. So complete the prototype. You must add suitable comment to your code to explain how it works. So when you are added the code, when you're writing the code, try to provide some of the comment, right? What do you understand? Because you will get one mark maybe on this. So now I think this part is clear, right? So how the table is working here. So if we move to this particular part, we can see that this is a form, right? They provide a ID, which is a res in O, and this is the table, which is this one, the label, and this is the input box. This is the input box, and all the input is disable. Disable means you can't able to click, right? And if you look at this one, label, athlete number, then input, label, all are there, right? So if I think there's some mistakes is here because there is a quotation, but maybe I can solve that particular things here. So now it will look like this. Now when we move to the JavaScript part, we can able to see that they provide a number of variable name here. So one of the variable name, which is num runner, they assign it to 0, and then they provide, when it is a number, actually there's a difference between the assigning between a number and a string. So if you look at this particular one, the school, they added a quotation, right? Empty quotation. So which represent that this particular variable is a string, and this is holding an empty string, right? So whatever the value we will insert in that particular variable, it will be string. But when it comes to the number, for making it empty number, or maybe to making it empty, we assign a 0 in it. So which means the number is a 0 now, okay? And when it comes to the fastest time, they provided a time which is 100. So here you can able to see the 100. So how we can able to get the 100 here? Because of this particular code. Document.get element by ID, fastest, right? This fastest, they are targeting to this particular one. Then dot value means, when it comes to dot value, which means they are trying to, when it comes to dot value, which means they are trying to added that particular value inside the input value, right? So did you remember, like when you were typing anything on the input box, during that time that particular typing is added in the variable. So which means when it comes to input, whatever you will add in the input box, it considered as a value. So dot value equals to fastest time. So fastest time is the variable name where 100 is assigned, right? So which means in this line of code is telling that this line of code is this one, okay, and in this particular input boxes we are assigning this fastest time variable. Now add your code here to display the rest of the information for the fastest athlete. So maybe we can also connect this tree as well, right? After that we will do the calculation how we can came up with the fastest athlete. That one we have to work with the calculation, or maybe we have to add some of the logic there, but before we just try to focus on this one. So when it comes to athlete number, we can see that the athlete number ID is this, is it? So we just copy this one and then we will paste it here. Then athlete number is this one, so we will take this input, we will paste it, okay. Now when it comes to the athlete number, this is the athlete number variable, right? So whatever the value it will assign here, we will just input that one here. So when I save, you can see the 0. So this is the variable which is 0, you can see here. Now we will focus on the athlete. So if you look at the athlete, this is the athlete, right? Athlete name. So we will take this one and here we will add athlete, right? So athlete name is actually the athlete variable. Now when I will save, you won't see anything because this was the empty thing. Now we have to focus on school. So just take this one and then we will add it here. After that we will add that particular school, sorry, not school, this one, athlete school ID, because we are targeting to this input boxes, okay. And then we will add school here. So which means now we are already connected each of the code with the variable and targeting to the input boxes. Now we have to came up with the solution. So how we have to create a program, or we have to write a program. That program can go through each of the array here, and then they can able to identify which one will be the fastest, right? So when they will identify which one will be the fastest, they will display that things in that particular input boxes. So when the code will go each of the line 1 1 1 1 1, right? During that time we will use for loop, because the loop will go one time, second time, third time, fourth time. So each time they will go and they will compare the fastest timing with the another time. So instead of creating or declare any other variable, we already have a rest time which is 0. So maybe we can do a comparison between rest time and fastest time. So if you look at the array, I just take that particular array here, so it will be easier for us to understand. Okay, maybe I can just paste that particular array here, so it will be easier for us to know how it's working. So because it's a loop, is it? Because we have to go through the table at a time, so we will use for. And then I said we have to declare a variable, so maybe we can use a variable. So for that, if you can think anything, right? So when it comes to the variable, we are declaring the variable, which means we are trying to focus on the first index, is it? So athlete, when it comes to a multi-dimensional array, the index will look like this. Athlete, is it? Then this, so this one will be the first array, this array, is it? So this one is the 0, this one is the 1, this one is the 2, and this one is the 3. And when it comes to the second array, this focus on this one, which is, this one is 0, this one is 1, this one is 2, and this one is 3. So for this one, maybe I can write the first one, which is 0. So when I'm targeting 0, which means I'm targeting this one, is it? When I add 3, if I add 3, which means which one I'm targeting? 0 1 2 3, I'm targeting the last one. And then if I add 1, which means I'm targeting this one, is it? So this particular thing will be visible. This way we're actually targeting the multi-dimensional array. So when it comes to the for loop, we initialize the first value. So during that time we are targeting this, is it? The for loop. So here maybe you can add I or count, whatever is up to you. Then we have to add a condition. So if you look at this one, the num runner, they already calculated the athletes.length, right? So I think you remember that when it comes to the length always start with 1. So it will help us to create a condition, because length is always +1 compared to the index value. So that's why when the index value will reach to the length value, it will stop. So now we can write which is I must be less than num runner, right? So first of all, they declared the variable which a num runner 0, and then they added the athlete array length to that particular num runner. So this one will be the answer. Okay, so you can see var I equals to 0, which is num runner. We don't have to add the dot length because this one is already added here, right? Now we will go to do some increment, right? So each time the loop will run, there will be something incremented. So here I will add I plus plus. So this is the way we'll increment. And then after this, what we will do, we did these things, right? So what things we are comparing actually? So in the rest time, we have to target what is the value we are comparing. 0, 1, 2, 3. We are comparing this particular value. So we will target all this value in the rest time. So how we can do that? We will add the rest time, then we will add equal to, then we have to add the athlete name. So similar like that, just copy this one and paste one. Okay, so when it comes to the last one, which means it will be 3, is it? Okay, and then athlete, I already tell you that this one is the count, is it? The count 1, count 2. This is the count. So which means count means the first index that we are assigning to here. So maybe I will add the I here. So this would be the array. Okay, now I have to compare. So when it comes to comparison, right, I have to check the decision. We will use the selection. So whom I will compare? I will compare the rest time with the fastest time. So rest time must be less than with the fastest time. Okay, rest time must be less with the fastest time. This one is done. Now what we will do, if the rest time is less than the fastest time, which is 100, then we will assign the new value to the fastest time. So we will take the fastest, because now here whatever the variable we added, we will add all the variable here, because here we will added all the value. Okay, so remember one thing, in JavaScript the latest code is the real one, like that one is actually hold the current value. Suppose if you think about the fastest time here is 100, but on line 87 when we are assigning the fastest time is the rest time, because if the rest time is less than, maybe if the rest time is 12, we are assigning that rest time to the fastest time. So during that time the fastest time will change from 100 to 12. Remember these things, because this is the latest code that run at line 87. Now so we will also add the athlete number here, and we also add the school here, because if you notice this one, this is all the variable we are showing here, is it? So I have to came up with the fastest time from here. So whatever the fastest time will be, I will take that particular row and then I will assign all the value to here. So if you look at this one, so I will just copy this particular thing to here. So what about the athlete number? Can you tell me what will be the athlete number? So this is the athlete number, right? So it will be 0 then. And when it comes to athlete, so we just copy this one here. When it comes to athlete, this is this, yeah, this is the 1, so we will add 1. When it comes to Mobin treasure, we will add 2, which is 2. Okay, so this is the thing that we did. Now maybe you can feel a confusion here, so I will go through the code line by line now and will explain how it works. So look at this particular code. What happened at the for loop? At the first, I initialize the value of I, which is 0, and it is checking the condition, is it? So when it comes to the condition, you can see that the condition will be I obviously 0 and the num of length 1, 2, 3, 4, is it? It should be less than 4. So I think you can understand that they will give us to go inside, is it? Because 0 is less than the 4. So if the 0 is less than 4, which means this, if this condition is true, it will give us to allow to go inside. So when I will go inside, the value of I is 0, is it? So when the value of I is 0, what is the value they are targeting? Value of I is 0, which means they are targeting this one, okay? And 3 means 0, 1, 2, 3. So the race time value is 12.1 now, okay? The race time value is 12.1 now. Now here they are comparing the race time and the fastest time. So the fastest time is 100 here and the race time is 12.1 here. So obviously the race time is smaller. So this condition is true, then it will give me to, it will allow me to go inside, okay? So I will go inside this particular if code, and then I will assign the race time to the fastest time. So after that, the fastest time will change to 12.1. Okay, now my fastest time is 12.1. So what will be the value for the athlete? If you look at the value of the I is 0, right? So 0, 0, which is number 1. And then this one, 1. So truncate Tunbridge Academy, I think. So we can add here Tunbridge Academy, and when it comes to this one is a Mobin treasure, so we can add it like this, is it? Now when I will complete this one, then I will break the loop, and then again I will go here. So during this time my 0 will changes to 1, okay? So still it's less than 4, so the condition is true, it will allow me to go inside. So when I will go inside, you can see the I will be now 1. So when the I will 1, it will target this one. So I 1, 3, so which is 12.5 now, 12.5, okay? Now what will be the fastest time now? Fastest time will be 12.1. So the rest time will be 12.5 less than 12.1. Now can you tell me, is this one fulfill the requirement? No, right? This one is not fulfilling the requirement. So when they are not fulfilling the requirement, they will not allow me to go inside, because 12.1 is less than 12. So it will be remain same. Then again it will break and then go here. So the value of I will changes to 2. So when the value of I will changes to 2, they will target this particular code here. So when they will target this particular code, you can see here it's a rest time equals to athlete 1 and 3. So when it comes to 3, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, so which means 14.7 now. So this one will be 14.7. So when it is a 14.7, you can able to see that the race time will be 14.7, right? But the fastest time is still 12.1, because we can't able to came up with a lower value than 12.1. So this one is not true, is it? It's a false. So again they will not allow me to go inside this one. So the value for all the variable will be remain this one, and then I will again go here, is it? So when I again go here, the value of I will changes to 3. So when the value of I will changes to 3, you can see that this is the 3, so it is a 12.73, right? When it comes to 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, so it is 12.7 now. 12.7, here we also add 12.7. Now can you tell me, this one is still not true, so it will not allow me to go inside again. So again it will go up, now it will be 4. So when it will be 4, you can see this is not less than 4, so it will not allow me to go inside. The loop will break here. So when the loop will break here, you can able to see this is the final answer. And when I will save it, okay, okay, so here I did a mistake with the array name. I have to use an S here. And then when I will save, I also have to remove all these things from here. It's,  'S'. 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 Yeah, now you can see, right? This is the shortest time. So if you look at this one, this is the shortest time. So I think you can understand what does it, what, how the code is working here. Now we can move to the another question. So the next question is this one, which is event page. So event.html contains an early prototype. When the event page is loaded, right? When the event page is loaded, the event type combo box is displayed. The track event combo box is hidden. The field event combo box is also hidden. So when an event type is selected by the user, an automated method must display the track combo box if the user selected the track event type. Display the field combo box if the user selected the field event type. Okay, so now we can go inside the code. What I have to, I was event.finish. Okay, so this one is done. Now we will focus on this one. So if you look at this particular code now, I have to run that particular code as well. You can see this is the thing. So when I'm added anything, nothing is coming, right? So now if I see in this code, what can I see? Which is there's a two function. One is height combo, one is get event. Two function is calling, and get event is calling on change. So when it comes to drop down, right, this is called a drop down. So drop down, they uses on change as an event to click. Like when we click, this particular function will run. And height combo, right? So if you look at this one, onload is also an event. So when they will load that particular web page, during that time this function will load it. So height combo is loaded during that time. So when this height combo is loaded, you can see that they are not displaying that track event and field event. So how we can able to identify which one? Document.getElement.id. So which one is track event? This one is the track event and this one is the field event. They're hiding this part thing. Which means, so this means like when this particular web page is loaded, they hide that two drop down. So if you want to see how it looks like, if I change it to block, you can see it. See this one, they're hidden this one. So if I also change it to this one, this is the thing, right? So during the time when a web page will load, they run that particular function. So that one is an onload event. You can get these things in the book as well. Okay, try to see how this particular thing is working. So we have a three type of combo box here. So the first combo box is this one, which is event. So from there you can able to select. So in the question they're trying to say is like when you are selecting track, it will only give you the track combo box, right? And the field combo box will be hidden. And when you select the field, the track combo box will be hidden. That's it. Display the field combo box if the user selected the field event type. So how we can do this particular thing? This is not that much harder actually. This is quite easier things to do. So this is the get event, right? So this is the function they're calling. So say like when I'm clicking this particular field, they're calling this particular function, because you can see this is the unselect, right? They're calling that particular function here. And then if we go here, you can see event is a variable. They declare a variable which is event, and whatever your event type, and event type means this one, is it event type, which is ID. So they are targeting this one and event. So take the event dot option. Option means whatever the option you will selected. Event dot selected index. So suppose if I select the first one, is the first index, is the second index, similar like that. Dot text, whatever the value inside the text, right? So text means the track or the field. So this way they are taking the value. So if you want to see how they added the value, you can do a console log here, and maybe you can just add the option chosen here. And then you can save it. So when I will inspect console and okay, when I will select track, see, option chosen track. So which means in this code they are targeting this one. Okay, after that when I add a dot option means they are trying to identify the option. Event dot selected, so which means whatever was selected, so it can be track, it can be field. Dot text, now they are targeting dot text dot field. Now, so which means whenever they will select track, the track will be visible. Whenever they will select field, field will be visible. So for that things we have to provide a selection here as well, right? So selection means we have to came up with a decision. So here we will add if option chosen. So this is the option chosen where we are choosing every option. So if you look at this particular option, you can see the option is track and the field dot text means track, the capital letter track. So we will add is the option chosen. So when we add a double equal, which means we are trying to check, right? We are checking if option chosen equals to track, is it? So which means when we are choosing track, we will only make track visible. So just copy this particular code. Okay, just copy it here. And then the track will be blocked, is it? So I just want to make it that particular one will be visible, but this one I don't want to make it visible. So now if I click here, you see the track is visible but field is not working. Then we add else if here. Else if we will add option chosen, because this is the option chosen. Now we will choose the option chosen is field or not. So we will add here option chosen is what's the name, field, is it? So we will add FIELD, field. So if the option chosen is field, then what we will do, we just copy this one, or maybe just copy this one, I think, and paste it here. So make this one as a block now. So which means whenever you will add a block, that one will be visible. Now when I will save this one, I run this particular code, see, when I'm selecting anything, that one will be visible. So this is the end of this question then. Yeah, so 6 is effective layout and a visually appealing design enhance the user experience of a web page. So this question is mostly a theory question, and this particular question came from the web design chapter. I think it's chapter 10 or 11. So a mock-up of the Everyone for Sport web page was provided as a PDF file in the asset folder in question number 4. So assess the effectiveness of the use of design principle in this mockup. You should consider at least 2 of visual hierarchy, flow, color theory, balance, and contrast. So refer to evidence from the mockup to support your answer. So which means they gave us a mockup like this one, right? That we already take this mockup as a sample, and we already created this particular website in question number 4. So now based on the design principle like the color theory, visual hierarchy, flow on the website, right? Based on that, we have to explain what is the good thing and the something they can also able to improve in that particular website. So basically what happened when someone is creating a website, they are just not started to code at the first, right? So they came up with some research about the color, about the layout, similar like that. After that, they start the code purpose, code type of things, because most of the user they will interact with this particular things that they can see, right? So you can say the layout. So the layout means they have the logo and the button so that they can interact with the web pages. So if the interaction are not that much, easier or familiar, then user won't like to use your website. So when you are explaining this particular question, you have to consider 4 points. One of the point is visual hierarchy. So what does it mean by visual hierarchy? Visual hierarchy means like in this particular design, it will help user identify the most important elements, right? So the most important area you want to focus. Suppose you want to add some of the images so that people can, when they will load that particular website in their computer, they can able to notice the images first, right? Because as a human, we think compared to the text, people are mostly get more meaningful idea when they see something. It can be image, it can be graph. So if you look at this one, you can say the main title. So they uses a bold, right? As a perspective of visual hierarchy, they uses a bold so that you can able to understand this is a title of that particular web page. So this particular web page is mostly about sport, right? So that one will be held in July competition, and they also provided some of the subheading so that you can able to understand what does this particular competition will be, is it? So it's basically the arrangement and presentation of element to show their orders of importance. It can be included image, title, size, similar like that. The font weight, some of the font is bold, some of the font is not that much bold. So that's the thing. They also uses a bullet point, right? So this is a part of a visual hierarchy. Now when it comes to the flow means suppose most of the website we expect the logo should be on the left side, is it? And the right side they will continue the menu. So this is the flow. This is the things that we always expect when we open a certain web pages. Now if you look at this particular one, so what does it mean by flow? Actually, flow refers to how easily user can navigate and process information on a page, how naturally their eyes move through the content. So we always expect that the footer will be at the bottom, right? So this is one of the example of a flow. Now the next question is like color theory. Okay, so when it comes to the color theory, if you go through the books, you can able to identify that they uses a different type of color for different purposes. Like suppose if you read something mistake, you can able to see that they give you the warning based on red color, right? Or maybe the error based on red color. They uses blue color or green color so that you can trust them, that particular color considered as a trustable color, right? So suppose when you want to pay something, the pay button, they mostly design the pay button with blue color. So they mostly don't use red color for the pay button because red color actually give you a purpose of a warning or error, right? So it's a danger. So when it comes to trust, we're paying money to someone, right, by using online platform, during that time they mostly uses blue color. So this is a some of the technique they uses for a color perspective. Now when it comes to the balance and contrast, so what does it mean by balance and contrast? It's actually mean the layout achieve a good sense of balance and contrast. Like if you look at this one, they uses a balance, like they uses a two column, right? One of the Olympic, mini Olympic, and one of the last year competition. So the page is divided into two column, one of the upcoming event and one for the recap of the previous event, right? So maybe people can inspire by seeing the previous things, or they can get an experience, okay, what can be the things they did before, right? So this create a visual symmetric and gives the page a balanced feel, right? So suppose instead of square, if I use a round shape here, it is not giving a balanced shape in the website. So how to answer that particular question? So we have to, when we will answer that particular question, we have to focus on the visual hierarchy, flow, balance and layout, contrast and color. So at least two, we have to mention at least two of the point from this particular pages. So now So if you look at that particular website, we can say as a visual, the everyone for sport web page follows a good principle, right? Because you can't say everything is negative, right? So you have to start with they have some good principle, but has areas for improvement as well. So as per of a visual hierarchy, I think that the title "Everyone for Sport July Competition" is big and bold, right? So making it stand out as the most important part of the web pages. The subtitle "Something for Everyone" is smaller but still noticeable, right? Then the one part we already finished, and then we have to came up with the second thing. So the section heading like Mini Olympics and the Lost Star competition are bold, helping to organize the content, is it? And then, however, the jump to times link at the top does not stand out. Like the color combination of the background color and this color is quite similar, so it is quite harder for the people to notice, right? So that's why it does not stand out and might confuse user about its purpose. So maybe we can use something different color for that one. Now we will move to the part for the flow. So what does it mean by flow? Flow means the purpose of navigation. We have to provide a comfortable to the user, is it? So when it comes to the flow, the bold final masses, if you look at this one, we look forward to welcoming you all again. Please join us. Ends the page with a strong closing message that acts as a final masses, is it? However, there is a bit crowding in the right column. So you can see this one. A bit crowding in the right column, right? So it is quite harder to notice. So maybe we can provide some of the margin or padding that will be more consistent to the design and a smoother visual flow. Okay, visual flow. Now, when it moves to the balance, the balance is part, it's like balance and layout. You can think the page is divided in a two equal section, which makes it look balanced and easy to read. And uses of the boxes help organize the content well. That's it. Now, if you look at this one about the color, so we can say the background color is light blue, which looks calm and fits the sports theme. However, the light base section does not contrast well with the black text, right? Making it slightly harder to read, the purple text. The purple text in the header is different from the other purple shade of the pages. So this is a little bit different compared to this one. Making the design look inconsistent. The email your interest link is blue, which helps it stand out, but it would look better as a button. So this one, if we add a button, I think it will be a look better, right? Overall, the page is well structured and could benefit from the improved text alignment, contrast, and color consistency for better readability and visual appeal. So this is maybe this way you can able to describe that particular question. So this will be the answer that I write actually. It's up to you. Take idea from here and try to write it by yourself. Yeah. So that's the end of our question paper 2023 unit 2. Hope you get help from my video. So if you're getting help, please subscribe to my channel, likes my video, okay, so that in future I can upload more videos.